Have you ever shown up uninvited at a friend or family member's home, only to realize afterward that your visit may have caused more harm than good? It's a situation that many of us can relate to, especially as we get older. As we age, one of the most important things we need to learn is the delicate balance of respecting personal space while maintaining our relationships. It's easy to assume that our loved ones will always be happy to see us, no matter when we show up, but the reality is that personal space and time become more important than ever as we enter our golden years. In this video, we'll be exploring some valuable lessons on how to navigate visits with your loved ones after the age of 60. We'll focus on the importance of respecting boundaries, maintaining healthy family dynamics, and preserving friendships that can last for decades. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with practical tips on how to avoid some of the most common mistakes that unintentionally strain relationships, like showing up unannounced, overstaying your welcome, or disrupting the peace of a perfectly organized home. With the help of real-life examples, expert-backed advice, and simple strategies, we'll ensure that your visits are welcomed with open arms rather than feeling like a burden to those you love. Stick with us until the end, and we'll show you how small, thoughtful changes in how you interact with your closest friends and family members can lead to stronger, more fulfilling relationships. Not only that, but we'll guide you on how you can enjoy socializing in your later years with ease, respect, and joy. Trust me, these insights will make your future visits more comfortable, your relationships healthier, and your overall approach to life after 60 more meaningful and rewarding. Let's dive in. If you're new to this channel or haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend clicking the subscribe button and activating the notification bell. This way, you'll never miss any of our helpful content. Your support means the world to me, and if you found value in this video, consider liking and sharing it with others. You can help me continue spreading these valuable lessons for a more fulfilling life. If you enjoy this kind of content, please leave a comment with 1 to let me know. If not, feel free to comment 0 and share your feedback so I can keep improving. Alright, let's get started. First, avoid visiting old friends' houses without warning. As we grow older, there's a subtle yet powerful shift in how we value our time and personal space, especially in the context of our friendships. It's so easy to assume that our longtime friends, those we've shared a lifetime of memories with, won't mind if we stop by unannounced. After all, what's the harm in paying a surprise visit to someone who knows us so well? The thought may feel innocent enough, maybe even affectionate, but as we get older, the dynamics of friendship evolve, and boundaries become an essential part of maintaining the emotional health of these relationships. I believe this is especially true as we age. Our need for peace, solitude, and control over our environment intensifies. It's not about pushing people away. It's about giving ourselves the space to recharge and have quiet moments without interruption. Imagine this. You're enjoying a rare moment of calm, perhaps catching up on some personal tasks or simply unwinding after a long week. Then, out of nowhere, a friend appears at your door. While their visit might have been meant with the best intentions, it might feel like an intrusion. Suddenly, you're put in a position to entertain or engage when all you wanted was a little peace. The emotional strain of having to shift gears from relaxation to hosting can be overwhelming, leaving you drained and, perhaps, resentful. I know I've felt this way before. I've been on both sides, both the one showing up without warning and the one caught off guard by a surprise visitor, and let me tell you, it's not comfortable. There's something about not being prepared for a visitor that just doesn't sit right. And let's be honest, after a certain age, we've earned the right to protect our energy. We've seen enough of life's demands, and now, more than ever, we must honor our need for boundaries. A simple but profoundly effective solution is to take a moment before visiting. Just a quick text or phone call. Hey, I'd love to catch up. When would be a good time for you? Can completely change the tone of the interaction. It's such a small effort, but it speaks volumes. It shows respect for their time, their space, and their emotional needs, which in turn help strengthen the bond you share. By giving your friends a chance to say yes or no based on their schedule, you ensure that your visit is one they'll welcome with open arms, not one they dread. Let me give you an example from my own experience. Sarah and Carol had been inseparable for over 30 years, weathering life's ups and downs together. Sarah cherished their spontaneous visits, believing that showing up unannounced was a sign of how close they were. But one day, when Sarah stopped by uninvited, Carol was in the middle of an intense work project. She was thrilled to see Sarah but was also overwhelmed by the stress of meeting a looming deadline. It created an uncomfortable tension between them. Sarah felt guilty for imposing, while Carol felt torn between her loyalty to her friend and her responsibility to her work. Neither of them was able to fully enjoy the visit, and both left feeling emotionally drained. That situation was a huge wake-up call for both of them. They realized that a simple phone call before visiting could have saved them both from the anxiety and awkwardness. Since that day, Sarah always texts Carol first, and they've also agreed to meet in more relaxed settings, like their favorite cafe, where no one feels like they're on the clock or obligated to be the host. The change was subtle, but it made a world of difference. Their friendship flourished because they were able to engage on their terms without the pressure of surprise visits or hidden frustrations. What I've learned from this is that respecting personal boundaries is one of the most important ways to preserve the emotional well-being of our friendships, especially as we get older. A study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships supports this, showing that clear communication and setting boundaries are essential to maintaining strong, fulfilling friendships as we age. So next time you're tempted to drop by without calling first, think about how you'd feel if the situation were reversed. A little consideration goes a long way in nurturing the bonds that matter most to us. Second, don't overstay your welcome at family members' homes. As we age, it becomes so natural to feel the pull to reconnect with our loved ones. We've spent a lifetime caring for our families, and as we step into retirement, there's often an overwhelming desire to reconnect with those we hold dear. We imagine that spending more time together will strengthen these bonds. But in reality, the opposite can often happen when we overstay our welcome at family members' homes. It may seem like a harmless gesture, but without careful consideration, it can unintentionally strain the very relationships we hope to nurture. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The importance of respecting boundaries cannot be overstated. When we are young, we rarely think about the nuances of relationships. We're often in a whirlwind of activity, constantly on the move. But as we age, we learn, often the hard way, that family ties, though often seen as unbreakable, are also delicate. A relationship that seems solid and effortless may feel strained under the weight of frequent, uninvited visits. When we fail to recognize the other person's needs, their routines, responsibilities, or just the simple need for personal space, we risk turning what was once a warm connection into a source of tension. It's all too easy to fall into the trap of thinking that constant visits are the best way to keep the bond alive. After all, if we aren't spending time together, then how will we stay close? But this belief can come from a place of longing. After retirement, we often find ourselves with an abundance of free time and a growing desire for social interactions. This newfound time is precious, and we want to fill it with the love and laughter of family. But family members, too, have their own lives. They may be going through their emotional ups and downs, adjusting to the rhythm of life. The truth is that when visits start to feel like obligations, especially when they come without warning, they can become a burden rather than a blessing. What was meant to be an act of love can quietly morph into something that sows resentment, even if no one says it out loud. Take the story of Tom, for example. At 64, Tom had just retired and was eager to reconnect with his cousin, Jack, who he hadn't seen in years. With all his newfound free time, Tom thought it would be wonderful to simply drop by unannounced, thinking his visit would be a pleasant surprise. But Jack and his wife, Susan, had long settled into a peaceful retirement routine, one that didn't involve unexpected guests. They were caught off guard, feeling uncomfortable in their own home. They politely greeted Tom, but the tension in the room was palpable. Tom, on the other hand, left feeling rejected, like an unwelcome guest in a place he thought would be warm. Jack and Susan, on the other hand, felt obligated to entertain, which added unnecessary stress to their otherwise peaceful day. It was a moment that could have been avoided with just a little thoughtfulness. Tom soon realized that a simple phone call could have made all the difference. A quick, "Hey Jack, it's Tom. How about we grab coffee next week?" would have allowed Jack and Susan the chance to prepare mentally and emotionally. It would have given them time to look forward to the visit instead of feeling caught off guard. This small gesture, so simple yet profound, would have ensured that the time together was filled with warmth and genuine connection, not awkwardness and discomfort. The lesson here is powerful and simple. Even when our families love us deeply, everyone, especially as we age, needs space to rest, recharge, and maintain their routines. As we grow older, we become more aware of the need for peace and tranquility in our daily lives. Respecting this space doesn't mean we love our family any less. It means we care enough to recognize their needs as well. A little planning, a simple heads-up, and a shared intention can turn what could be an uncomfortable visit into a cherished memory. So, when it comes to family visits, remember, sometimes the best way to show love is by respecting their need for time and space. Third, avoid visiting your siblings' homes uninvited. Why does this matter so much? Well, siblings share a bond that few other relationships can match. From childhood memories filled with laughter, mischief, and even disagreements to inside jokes that only make sense to those who grew up together, these moments create an emotional connection that is as deep as it is unique. These ties carry a weight of shared experiences, some joyful, others not so much, but all essential to shaping who you are as an individual and as a family. Yet, as time passes and your parents grow older, or sadly, when they're no longer around, the dynamics between siblings often evolve in ways that you might never expect. What was once a tight-knit, almost inseparable group, bound together by shared family rituals, traditions, and stories, can suddenly feel distant and detached. The familial glue that held everyone close, especially when your parents were the central meeting point, starts to weaken. No longer having that one familiar place, your parents' home, to come together for a meal or to share a story makes everything feel different. Suddenly, you realize that the small, seemingly insignificant moments, like sitting around the dinner table on a Sunday evening, are now gone. And it's not just the home that's lost, it's the center of your family's heart. The absence of that place brings about an inevitable shift, one that may leave you feeling like strangers to one another. Life's demands pull everyone in different directions, and your once familiar bond begins to fray. This change can feel almost like a quiet grief as you watch the once familiar routine of family gatherings fade into the background of adult life. What was once the natural rhythm of your connection, holidays, birthdays, random weekend get-togethers, starts to become a distant memory. Life takes over with its work, children, homes, and personal concerns. Visits that used to happen often, even without thought, start to dwindle, and before you know it, weeks or even months pass without you realizing. These natural shifts, while expected, can leave you with a sense of longing, a yearning for those simpler times when you felt more connected. Practical tip: instead of showing up unannounced at your sibling's door, send a message or call them first. A small gesture of reaching out, whether it's a text to check in or a suggestion to meet halfway, can go a long way in rekindling that bond. Propose a gathering at a neutral, comfortable place like a local restaurant or a coffee shop. This way, the visit is a shared decision, allowing everyone to be part of the planning and, most importantly, ensuring that it remains a positive experience for all. When you plan, it's not just a meeting. It becomes an opportunity to reconnect and create memories rather than forcing a situation that might cause discomfort or awkwardness. Real-life example. Take the Harris family, for instance. This was a group of 5 siblings, all in their 50s and beyond. For years, they relied on their parents' home as the central hub for family gatherings. Sunday dinners, birthdays, and even random, just because visits were a part of their routine. But when their parents passed, the home, along with its warm, familiar embrace, was no longer available. The siblings found themselves scattered, each moving forward with their own lives, responsibilities, and routines. The Sunday dinners ceased, and family gatherings became fewer and farther between. One afternoon, a friend asked Greg, the oldest sibling, why the family no longer got together as often. His response, though blunt, spoke a deeper truth. "We only used to gather because our parents were there. Now, it doesn't make sense. If I have free time, I spend it with my own family." While his words might have seemed harsh to some, they struck a chord because they reflected a reality many families face. As we grow older, our priorities shift. We're no longer children looking for a place to return to. We become adults with families of our own. It's not about love diminishing, it's about the natural evolution of life. Responsibilities change, and so does the way we connect. The Harris siblings came to understand that maintaining their bond didn't require frequent visits or forcing themselves into each other's busy lives. Instead, they found peace in being intentional. They realized that quality, not quantity, was what mattered most. Now they plan special occasions together, whether it's a weekend getaway, a family meal, or a holiday gathering, making sure that everyone is on board and can genuinely enjoy the time spent together. It wasn't about pressure or obligation, but about making space for each other when it felt right. Key takeaway: the love between siblings doesn't vanish when you stop visiting each other constantly. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is allowing each other the space to live your own life, understanding that life will change and, with it, the way you connect. You don't need to be in constant contact to preserve your bond. What matters most is being intentional when you do connect. In doing so, you'll find that your relationship will only grow stronger, not weaker, because it's based on mutual respect and understanding of each other's lives. Fourth, avoid visiting homes that are excessively neat without being extra careful. Why is this so important? As people enter their retirement years, many find solace in maintaining a home that is not only clean but also meticulously organized. For them, it goes far beyond simple housekeeping. It's a form of emotional comfort, a way to hold on to control in a world that sometimes feels a little less predictable. The order they create in their space reflects an inner peace, a sanctuary where they can relax and find calm in the chaos of life. When someone has devoted so much energy to perfecting their environment, an unexpected visit, especially one that isn't mindful of their routines, can feel like a disruption, shaking the delicate balance they've worked so hard to cultivate. As we age, respecting the personal space of others becomes even more critical. We often don't realize how much significance these small acts have. For instance, something that seems insignificant to us, like sitting in a specific chair or walking across a freshly mopped floor, can be perceived as an intrusion to someone who has invested so much of their energy into creating a peaceful, orderly home. That space is often a reflection of their emotional well-being, and to disrupt it, even unintentionally, can cause deep discomfort. It's not just a matter of being careful with their things, it's about respecting their very sense of peace. If that peace is disturbed, it can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment, even if they don't say it outright. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Consider this: it's not always about the physical act of breaking something or making a mess. It's about the emotional toll these actions take. The stress and disappointment can be far more overwhelming than anyone might assume. The relationship, too, can suffer from these missteps, and sometimes the emotional cost is too great to overlook. This is why it's important to approach these situations with heightened awareness, especially when visiting someone who has made their home a sanctuary. What might feel like a harmless, spontaneous visit to you could feel like an emotional burden for them. Practical tip: if you know that your friend or family member takes particular pride in the cleanliness and order of their home, it's always best to give them a little warning before you drop by. It shows respect not just for their time but for the emotional effort they've put into their environment. And if the situation allows, suggest meeting somewhere neutral, a cozy cafe or a peaceful park, where no one has to worry about disturbing anyone's space. But if you do decide to visit their home, be especially considerate. Ask if there's a preferred spot to sit, whether you should take off your shoes, or if there's anything else they'd like you to be mindful of. These small gestures may seem insignificant, but they carry so much weight in showing that you truly understand and respect the care they've put into maintaining their home. A real-life example. Take Charles, for instance. In his 60s, Charles took great pride in his home. His living room was so perfectly arranged and spotless that it looked like it belonged in a designer magazine. Every cushion fluffed just right, every table neatly set. His cousin Ellie was more of a free spirit, spontaneous in nature, and believed that visiting family should be about ease and comfort, not rigid planning. One day, she decided to stop by without notice, needing a personal favor from Charles. Feeling at ease with him, she rushed to the bathroom, and in her haste, spilled a bottle of lotion across the freshly mopped floor. To Ellie, it seemed like a small mishap, nothing to be concerned about. But for Charles, it wasn't just about the lotion. That spill represented something much deeper. It was a violation of his personal space, a reflection of a lack of respect for the effort and time he had put into keeping his home pristine. The emotional toll of that single incident was far greater than Ellie could have imagined. Charles wasn't upset just because of the mess. It was the thoughtlessness, the disregard for the order he'd established in his sanctuary. That moment of carelessness took something precious from him, and the emotional weight lingered long after the spill was cleaned up. This subtle act of disrespect led to a strained conversation, and ultimately, Charles decided not to lend Ellie the money she had asked for. When he later explained his reasoning, he made it clear that it wasn't about the loan itself, but about how he felt his home had been disrespected. Key takeaway: when someone takes such pride in their home, it's so much more than cleanliness. It's about peace, comfort, and emotional safety. Visiting their space requires a heightened level of thoughtfulness. By being mindful of their environment and respecting the boundaries they've created, you not only preserve the harmony of their home, but you also protect the relationship. Little things, like asking before sitting or taking off your shoes, show that you understand and honor their emotional investment in their space. These thoughtful gestures can go a long way in nurturing a deep, meaningful bond, one built on mutual respect and care. As we wrap up today's video, I want to thank you for taking the time to reflect on how important it is to respect the spaces of others, especially when they've poured so much effort and love into creating a peaceful and orderly environment. It's a reminder that small, thoughtful gestures can make a huge difference in preserving relationships and emotional well-being. So, what have you learned so far? What's one thing you will take away from today's discussion and start practicing in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below and share with us one thing you'll be mindful of the next time you visit someone's home. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us, and we're so grateful to have you as part of our community. See you in the next video.